Right, let's go ahead and get started. I will call this meeting of the Operations Planning Committee to order. Thank you all for coming for September 18th. Let me go ahead and I'll kind of kick things off. She'll be joining in a minute, but one change to OPC we've made is to add Lori Bora, or really to add the chairman of the Parks and Rec Commission. And I certainly felt like that was a good change to all this, simply because the parks are so important in our town, and there is inevitably something going on with parks, and it intersects with so many people. Just having the Parks and Rec chairman join this discussion to not just provide an update to this group, but just coordinate among all the major board and commission heads, it felt like a good idea. So I appreciate Lori, who hopefully will join us in a minute, joining in that discussion. I guess next topic is we've had a number of meetings over the last couple of weeks pertaining to trees. They specifically are trees over on Nearwater, which are some are being taken out to help us with the repair and upgrades of sidewalks there. Others because they are diseased or damaged. We've had hearings on all that, and there has been a decision issued. So similarly with trees along the roadway from the end of Rings End Bridge up to the traffic circle at the entrance to Great Island, that road is having to be widened, and we've also had meetings about that. I know a lot of residents remain concerned simply because we don't certainly want to take down trees needlessly, and it's always a hard decision to do that, but sometimes it has to happen. I am more than willing to speak to anybody who's got a question about that or additional concerns. I would point you, though, to the town website where the tree warden's decisions are posted. And then in the case of the roadway up at the entrance of Great Island, there's a supplemental letter that explains the decision-making behind that. So please take a look at that. We have been working with WestCog, which is the Western Council of Governments, on a noise abatement study. And the idea of that is to see about the creation of a quiet zone along the New Canaan spur line that runs from the Stamford train station up into New Canaan. That study is finished except for the public hearing. The public hearing is going to be held on October 1st. That's a Tuesday, and it's going to be held at the Harry Bennett Branch Library starting at 6:30 that night. So if you are someone who's interested in the results of that study and in the discussion of next steps, please make it a point to attend that. If you have questions about it, just drop me an email and I can make sure you have details. A couple other items, as you know, our own Ali Truitt participated in the Paralympics in Paris, and she won 2 silver medals as a result of her efforts. So congratulations for that. Just so everybody knows, next Monday, the 23rd, there's going to be a press conference. I will be there. There's a chance of some higher ranking officials showing up at that press conference. We're still trying to confirm that, but it's going to be at 4 p.m. on Monday, the 23rd, over the Grove Street Plaza, and should be a lot of fun. I think Representative Mars here is with us. She'll be there for that for sure, and she outranks me, so she might be the higher public official that's going to be there. But we're certainly looking forward to welcoming her back to town and celebrating with her and her family and all these great successes. Last thing to mention is that our town administrator's last day is tomorrow. Kate Bush is leaving us to explore a new chapter with the town of Greenwich, and she's dialed into this call, and we'll be celebrating her departure and many accomplishments tomorrow here at Town Hall. But I just wanted to acknowledge one more time her many contributions to the town over all these years. And as I've said to many, it's been great to call her not just a colleague, but a friend. So Godspeed, Kate. That's all from me. Why don't we turn it over to our new participant, Lori Bora from the Parks and Rec Commission. Lori.
Hi. Sorry, I got distracted. Commission meeting this evening. Days are always very hectic. Anyway, with that, thank you for having me. Thought I'd just run through a few things that have been going on with Parks and Rec and what we've got teed up going forward. Over the last couple of years, we've been actively putting ARPA funds to use. We've added a 6th paddle court down at Weed Beach that is ready to go for the season, which kicks off in just a couple of weeks. We were able to buy some equipment for the Parks and Rec staff, which they're making good use of. And the funds gave us the opportunity to design and implement 3 new playgrounds in town. The first one was the playground over at McGuan Park, which is, the baseball complex. And that has a fully ADA compliant surface, which is wonderful, very safe for all children. It's really soft and squishy. And then more recent, that opened up, at least 6 months ago now. And then in mid-August, we opened the new playground at Cherry Lawn, which has been a phenomenal success. It's really, really cool equipment and has brought a lot of joy and happiness to our community. Along with that joy and happiness has become a lot of traffic and parking challenges in the park. So we're going to need to figure that out quickly. We had hoped to get some money in this fiscal budget for a study of the traffic and parking at Cherry Lawn. That didn't make it into this year's budget, and we're going to have to look at that again, because right now we've got people parking on grass, but also they're parking under trees, which damages tree roots and compromises them, et cetera, and we have to be concerned about safety. But the playground itself is just wildly popular, and it's super cool. So if you haven't seen it, those of you who are really into what the kids are doing, please go and check it out. And then the third is where we'll be doing the Baker Park playground, the bluish purple dinosaur that's been there since my kids were little, and they have kids of their own now. And we'll be actually voting on the additional design for that at this evening's meeting. As we've worked on that project, we realized that there is no actual walkway from the parking lot to the playground, which does not meet ADA requirements, which we need to bring it up to when we redo the project. And also we would like to add some matting, which makes the playground equipment more accessible, and a few other things. So we will, after consulting with the commission tonight, we're hoping to be able to come back and get a little bit more money from ARPA to take care of those elements to make the playground truly accessible. Any questions on that?
Sounds good.
Nope, sounds good.
One question, just a pickleball court update. Where are you on that?
What we've been trying to do since our new director, Jen Fava, joined us back effectively the 1st of June. She, of course, needed time to get up to speed. But one thing we are really trying to gather is, more data on, the true need for pickleball courts. And also really understand, what's the right number of tennis courts, pickleball courts, paddle tennis courts, et cetera, and really look at everything more holistically, because there's been a lot of push-pull between the different types of racket sports. Jen has actually met with the USTA, which apparently has a program to help communities size and understand what the right amount of courts are. Jen will be going to her national conference in about a couple of weeks, October 12th, I think, and there'll be representatives of the National Pickleball Association there, wants to meet with them, vendors, et cetera. So one is to gather data. She's also found about software, and I think, John, you're aware of this, that might be something useful to the entire community, where you can effectively track where people are in both historical and real time, which if the town were able to purchase that and determine it was available for multiple uses, could help us really understand how actively the courts are or aren't being used, which is, right now an anecdotal evidence. We've also asked the staff to start putting more information together about our, the reservation system and how much, capacity there is from that. So we really want to get the data, John, before we make recommendations. I just said with Cherry Lawn, the trick right now is that the parking is already overburdened, which is what we were concerned about with the playground. But to look at other options in town or whatever, we think the selectmen, certainly the Board of Finance, should have good data to say, what's the real need here. So we're trying to do more of a deep dive into that, as opposed to just like thinking, we think, 6 courts sounds right,
I think it's the data collection tool, which collects anonymized data. In other words, it doesn't tell who's there, it tells that someone was there and where they've come from, kind of all of that. I think would be very interesting to get a sense, not just of our park usage, from parking to access downtown to all of that. I think it's absolutely worth running that experiment. So include that in your budget and let's take a look at it.
Yep.
And also include or restore, if you will, the proposed funds for that traffic study that was kind of a precursor to fully fixing up, for example, the nature center kind of entrance and all of that.
Mhm.
And as well as just all that parking. So very good. What else? Anything?
Those are the key things. Pear tree, the selectmen had asked Weston and Sampson to start working on the bid package. They're going through that process now. That includes having a planning and zoning approval in hand. So Steve, Weston and Sampson's working with Jeremy and company to get that going. It sounds like we probably wouldn't get in front of you before November, December, I guess, based on everybody's scheduling and what's needed. So hopefully with the necessary approvals, we could go out to bid, early in 2025, sort of late winter to spring. Practically speaking, that's a project that we would have to go shovel in the ground this time of year. So since we're not there now, it would have to be this time next year anyway, because this is a project that it will close the park while it's under construction. So we clearly don't want to do that during the summertime.
You're talking about it, Parks and Rec tonight?
Yep.
Okay, good.
Yep. So that's where we are. So Steve, that'll be forthcoming to you and your colleagues in the next couple of months. And it has nothing to do, people say, oh, is that the builder? This is not to do with the building at all. The bathhouse just stays as is, but this is really the parking lot remediation to address the flooding and the boat ramp and some resiliency. Really the key.
Good.
The key aspects.
The boats at the boat club, have to be off the dock generally November 1st. That's usually the date the boat club closes. I know that's the date it closes this year, so it means you're not going shovel the ground till November 2nd.
Yeah. Yeah. So those are the things we have to work around. I mean, we can't close boat ramp access in the boat club during, in season. So at this point, we have, now that we've gotten the go ahead to actually get a bid now, we kind of have the time because of the limitations on when you could do a project like that with that park.
Yeah. It's, as you know, when the town application comes in or a school application comes in, it goes right to the top of the list.
Oh, I didn't know that. Yay.
We changed that policy a couple of years ago.
Oh, okay. Well, that's great. I did not know that.
You come first.
Okay. And then Weed Beach, we worked over the summer also with Weston and Sampson to see if there were ways that we could further pare down a renovation project on what everybody kind of refers to as the short lane parcel. And they came back with a couple different scenarios. We met with John and Jen and Weston and Sampson about 10 days ago, John, a week, 10 days ago. It really concluded that by cutting back any further, we're not really delivering to the community the project that we had hoped to. So John is supportive of us trying to get approval to, go forward with the project that was approved by P&Z, so that we're not cutting out some, wetlands restoration or paving the parking lot or some of those key features that we felt were appropriate to have.
And there will be a more full discussion of that at Parks and Rec tonight in any case,
Yes,
right?
there will.
I'll be there for that. Okay.
Yep.
All right.
That's pretty much us. If you want to mention the green scum, some of you may have heard or noticed both the ponds at Cherry Lawn and Tilly had green yucky stuff on them all summer. They actually were different situations. The Cherry Lawn is actually duckweed, which is just a plant that kind of takes over the surface. It's just a natural plant, but what it does is it kind of creates a mat and prevents sort of the life underneath the water from growing and sucks the oxygen out of the water. In Tilly Pond, it was cyanobacteria, which was more harmful to animals, pets, and can be very harmful to people, especially if you have a cut or something and you're exposed. Our director worked with the health department and CT Deep to get permits to treat those, and that has taken place. I think Cherry or Tilly, one of them has one more application, but we've seen really good improvement. And going forward, we're going to have to look at preventative applications to keep that from happening again. But Jen did good work on getting that under control. But it was pretty yucky. And that's it. The staff's working on some upcoming events. There's one more concert at Tilly Park this Friday night. There's a movie night coming up at Highland Farm for families in early October, and we'll have the old-fashioned holiday event again in early December, which was very popular last year at Tilly Pond. That was a really lovely, easily 1,000 people, if not more, at that event last year.
Fantastic. Okay. Thank you, Lori. Any questions for Lori?
Where'd they all park? Where'd they park everybody with 1,000 people?
For which event? For Tilly?
Yeah, I guess that's what you said.
It was fine. They used, people used the lots for the party. It was a Saturday. It was a Saturday. People used the train lots or in town. A lot of people I saw walked in from the neighborhood. So it didn't seem to be a problem. And it was over. It was like noon to 5 or something. So, people were coming and going a lot. It wasn't that everybody was there at once.
It sounds like Memorial Day parade. Okay,
Yeah.
great.
Yeah, but it worked. It worked. And I think, John, you were there, and it was
Yeah.
a really
Fabulous. Yeah.
fabulous event.
Terrific. All right. Thank you, Lori. I appreciate it. Welcome aboard.
Thank you.
Jill.
Thank you. I'm going to go pretty fast today. I have to leave just before 3:30. But we've had some exciting stuff at the school district this year. Convocation for our teachers, speaker to feature on artificial intelligence and how that is changing both what we teach today and how we prepare our students for studying and working later. So we're excited to be having that conversation. On the subject of technology, we attended we had a ribbon cutting, for the video wall in our high school auditorium, which was donated by the Darien Foundation. And John, you were at both events. Thank you for supporting both of those things. Both are tremendously exciting. At the end of August, we closed out last year. We are about $3,600 of excess funds, but as everyone will recall, we did have to go back and ask for additional dollars. So that, $3,600 is just what's left over in the appropriation we requested. That will come back to the town. We'll have our official enrollment next month, but as of late August, we are at 4557, which is about what we expected in our student population. There's been a few little ups and downs, but it's basically stable. And in fact, a lot more of our students have stayed this year than in previous years, particularly at the high school. We've onboarded a number of new staff and administrators that we're excited about, particularly a principal at Oxbridge, a principal at middle school, an assistant principal at middle school, and 2 assistant principals at the high school. Some of those are folks we've hired externally, and some of those are folks that we've promoted from within, both of which we're very excited about. We began our reading pilot this fall. This relates to the right to read legislation that's coming out of Hartford. We are in Darien, as we've talked about before, trying to thread the needle and do what is best for our students, making sure we are ahead of the academic research and doing our utmost to provide both a personalized and a meaningful and effective reading instruction, but we are also trying to figure out how to work with the requirements that Hartford has put into place through both the legislative body and the State Department of Education. There'll be more on that to come. At the moment, we're finishing our update of our strategic plan for the year, and that includes, things like what I just mentioned, which is what we're doing with reading, our vision of the graduate. It also includes some general preparations for the upcoming budget cycle. We are not anticipating that this year will be particularly easy either. So we're trying to get in front of it in as many ways as we possibly can. And lastly, I'll switch gears a little bit to HHR, or Henley Homes and Royal. We are now doing construction on 3 school sites. Students are in class during the day. We do have a lot of safety precautions in place. Their construction workers do not intermix with the students on the whole. They're either behind walls or working after hours. All of the open construction that is being done, such as the open corridors, have been carefully evaluated by not only our staff, but the fire marshal et al. We were able to show this off at Parents' Night. We had tables at each of the Henley Homes and Royal Building Committee had tables on each of the 3 sites. We received a lot of positive feedback. But we do wish to reassure all parents that there are multiple safety precautions in place for a variety of different conditions. Lastly, Seth, as you know, we'll be coming to you for RTM for some easements for some Eversource work, and thank you for your support on getting that onto the RTM agenda. We continue to be very excited about the project, thrilled that we can be running the schools through an open construction And a reminder to all that this project goes through the summer of 2026. All right, thank you.
Okay, any questions for Jill?
I think it's great, the reading initiative. There's so many distractions now for kids. I remember when I was going through middle school, we had a reading hour after lunch, automatic every day, 5 days a week. And it really helped when you were trying to do the SATs. And the more that kids read, the better. And it's really not an easy thing to get done. So I think it's great that you're taking the steps.
Thank you, Seth. I appreciate that. And with that, please excuse me. I apologize for having to leave,
It-
but I wish you all well.
Before you leave, Jill, I just want to tell you that those construction sites look fantastic.
Thank you, Steve.
Yeah.
There's safety. The parking lots are done. The exterior is done. You can't even tell from the outside that, there's major construction going on there. I mean, I think they did a great job, set everything up for, and I've been to all three schools and they're all looking the same. Doing a great job.
Thank
Congratulations.
you. Thank you for looking at the schools and thank you for your comments. I appreciate it.
Talk
I
to you
wish
later,
you all-
Jill. Take care.
Thank you. You too. Bye-bye.
Okay, Tracy.
Thank you, and I will extend my thanks also to Kate Bush, who I know is on here. Your service to Darien is much appreciated, and so best of luck to you. So I guess I'd like to start off by saying that, we're not in session right now, so I spend a lot of my time. Well, we do have some committee meetings, public health, that continues to have some meetings throughout the summer. So I am doing those type of meetings, but I also spend a lot of time either watching TV 79 or thank you to John Zagrodzky for inviting me along to check out the Heights crossing the other day. I think bits like this and the transparency that Darien has makes it very easy to represent this community because I can see where the issues are on the state level when it comes to building issues or energy issues. So just my appreciation to each of you for inviting me into this. And just Lori, welcome to you to this meeting. I'm actually not here as a full member. I'm here as a guest. So I really appreciate the chance to be here. So while I am off session, just to let everybody know, and this was appropriate since Jill was talking about AI, I was appointed to a national task force on AI, cybersecurity, and data privacy by the Speaker of the House, and I am the only House member on this. So it's not. I mean, it's an honor to be on it, but it's a lot of work in front of us when we look at cybersecurity and we look at data privacy, and then in particular in AI. And then I worked quite close with the House on the AI bill last year, and it's going to be coming forward again. So when we look at AI in the schools and stuff like that, I also want to look at it on a statewide level so that we are making sure that not just our schools, but that our government have the resources that they need when we move into kind of this next area, not with just AI, but when we talk about data privacy and such. So just letting everybody know that I am really thinking, got my finger on the pulse as far as that goes. John, thank you for mentioning the train noise abatement study. I will mark that off my list of things to tell you all because I've had lots of people ask me about the noise with the train. So yes, everybody, please come and listen to that. And energy bills, I know people are so frustrated with their energy bills. I hear you. I too am frustrated. I'm paying them as well. And we're trying to get back into session to change that. There is a portion of that energy bill that I believe should go into the budget, not be on your utility bill. And I would like to fix that. And certainly my caucus is, and we just have to have lots of discussions across the aisle to make sure that things like that happen. But the community has really reached out on those issues. And lastly, I will just mention that we passed a bill during my first term on early voting. And I know, everybody has hopefully you have heard the buzz. This does not take the place of absentee ballots. The absentee ballots, if you wish to have them, you can still apply online. You can go to the Secretary of State's website and ask for an absentee ballot, and those will be mailed out on October 4th. However, if you prefer to vote in person, there is early voting, and that starts October 21st, and it goes all the way through to November 3rd. So that's the Sunday before elections, and you can do that in person at Darien Town Hall. And the times are 10 to 6 most days, although understanding that we have, need for some late hours, there are 2 days, October 29th and 31st, that are 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. I'm sure your town website will have all the information, but since this is, yet another something coming from the state and something we voted on, I thought I would make sure that everybody is aware. We do want everybody to vote, and that's all I have, and I will continue to listen and see if there's any concerns that I need to be aware of. Thank you so much.
Okay, terrific. Any questions for Tracy? Okay, Mr. Olvani. Planning.
The only question I have, I hope she's campaigning during her time she's not in session, but I think she is.
Pretty
Good
sure.
luck with that.
Go ahead, Steve.
Thank you, John. It's good to see everybody again. I think I missed the last meeting, but I'm here today. The big thing that we just started the process on, actually last night was the next town plan of conservation and development. It's due in, I think, June of 2026. It's something that we do every 10 years. I was an integral part of the 2016 town plan of conservation and development. It's actually a big project and it's expensive. We budgeted, I think, $125,000 to do it. It may go up to something like $150,000. We interviewed 2 master planning type companies, land planners, last night. We have a third one that we're going to interview in the next 3 weeks in the beginning of October. The whole process, we'll probably hire the person somewhere plus or minus November 1st of this year. The whole process takes about a year and a half. And it's a statutory date where it has to be finished by. There should be at least three open hearings or meetings that are likely going to be in town hall in the auditorium. There might be other satellite spaces to go out to reach the participants. I mentioned it last night to the consultants. When we did it last go around, the consultants went out to all the boards and commissions. We have about 20 of them in our town. So they went to the Parks and Rec Commission to see what their needs are. And Lori, if I'm wrong in that belief, please tell me, because I want them to go out to the different boards and commissions and interview them and see what their needs are. So that gets into the concept sooner than later. It's probably going to be somewhere within 6 months into the process. I remember when we did last time, I didn't know that we had a cemetery commission, but somebody came in and said, we have, 27 cemeteries in town, and that made it into the town plan of conservation and development. I mentioned it to the Commission on Aging, that they reach out to them. The reason why I mentioned that is because it is more time for the consultants. And if their budget was, they were thinking they're going to have, 4 meetings in town, and now they have 24 meetings in town, that may affect it. But I want to just make sure. Lori, do you remember that? Were you on the commission 10 years ago?
10 years ago, no, I was not. That would have been just a little bit before my time.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because I don't really think they don't go to like the Board of Finance, but they do meet with like the Board of Education and other things like Commission on Aging. That's one that I like a lot. But that's something that's going to happen. So we have one more interview to go. The interviews were on TV 79 last night on tape, so you can watch them on tape. And then we'll figure it out.
Did you put the Great Island Committee on the list?
Yes. Okay. There's probably going to be a section in the town plan relative to Great Island. What we don't want to do is waste money duplicating stuff.
Right.
Right.
You don't need another consultant going over Great Island. You don't need another consultant doing a sewer study. I think we just paid some, $8 million is the budget to fix all the sewers if we had, an unlimited sources or resources, but we don't need these guys to do a sewer study. All that stuff can get incorporated in by reference,
Okay.
just say it exists. And like you guys, I think you did the Parks and Rec Commission did a master plan a few years ago.
2018 was the last time, so, we'll be kicking off the process, within a couple of years. We'll have to start thinking about it and, budgeting for it, interviewing, et cetera. 'Cause
Right.
it was really done in 2017 and published in 2018, so.
Yeah,
you
That's
know,
the same with ours. It gets done in 2025 and gets, published in 2026.
Yeah.
So those are the kind of things that we think about.
The Rules Committee assigned the Planning, Zoning and Housing Committee to interface, get involved, make sure we're giving you input.
That's fantastic. I mean, it's right now we're just doing the interviews of consultants. Once we pick the consultant and they kick off their first 3 months, they do data collection and get the lay of the land. And then after that, then they start to do public meetings, and then it goes on and on and on. You have 18 months or 16 months to do it, so there's a lot in there. And I think they kind of sort of wrap it up 2 months in advance, because once it's finished, then they have to have a public hearing and then change it again, and then it gets finalized and voted on. Last go around, we were well on time with it, so it went pretty well. That consultant.
One topic that came up in the Rules Committee was capacity, infrastructure capacity given, and I'm sure that that's sort of like an echo to you because I'm sure you're way ahead of it, but it was an item of concern to the Rules Committee.
That's what we put in
Excuse me.
last night as part of the interviews. I want to have a chapter in there on capacity study. Everybody knows a gentleman in town named Fred Consi. He's been beating a drum on capacity studies for probably.
I think I can hear it now if I.
Yeah, we've all heard that message, and it's not an unreasonable message at all. We should.
Yeah, and I think it goes two ways. You could talk about school capacity, and the number of chairs and whatnot. I think we're probably, at equilibrium from what I can decipher. We just spent $65 million on one middle school, and now we're spending another $75 million on another school. If we run out of school space because we added affordable housing, that means we got to build another school at $50 million. It doesn't really make sense. But what I'm more concerned about is the fire department, the police department, and the EMS. If we overburden the police department, they have to add in another 5 cops. That's something we want to know. If we overburden the post 53, by putting 2 more assisted living facilities in town, that's the stuff I want to know, because those guys are volunteers now, and the same thing goes with the fire department. The last thing I think that any first selectman wants to do is make the decision to make it a paid fire department. And if the town gets, too big, which you never know what could happen in the next 10 or 20 years, that's something about it. But I want to know if we're at capacity. And it also goes with water capacity, sewer capacity, road capacity, all the other stuff.
Steve, do they have a way of thinking about open space capacity? Because that's something we talk about on the commission, and we're aware of with, the hundreds of new apartments that are coming online. I think, if Nielsen's goes, we're over 600 new apartments during, my tenure in Parks and Rec, and we think about, folks that they don't have green space and yards, but we don't have any way of really quantifying that. It's just sort of that sense that it's going to put demands on our parks. But is that something they can study or quantify in some way?
I think what they do, Lori, and that's a great question, because it's something that I didn't think about in the last 48 hours. I think they benchmark it.
Okay.
They benchmark the amount of acreage we have in parks divided by the population. So, like Ridgefield's got, a ton of parks and a low population. Something like Stanford's got is less. Central Park in New York City is one of the largest parks in the country.
Mhm.
So, but they can benchmark it. And if you look at that, and I mean, you might be able to say that we added a park with Great Island,
Mhm.
so that's 65 acres gets added to the mix. And you can sit there and say, is Highland Farms a park? Is it not a park? I mean, I don't know what it is. But that's something that is great for you to bring it up because, maybe you run out of park space. That's another capacity.
Yeah.
But a lot of this stuff it's also goes to the housing issues because if you don't have sewer capacity, which we don't control, how are you adding 597 new apartments? You can't duplicate that again in the next 10 years. It's not going to happen because you're going to run out. It's the problem is I'm going to move on as soon as I can, but it's happening to Wilton, and it can happen to us because Wilton gets their sewers from Norwalk. Norwalk just expanded their sewer capacity, but Tracy can correct me if I'm wrong. They didn't give any of that capacity to Wilton. Stanford could increase their capacity and not give it to us. We don't control it. But what the state statute had at one point in time, and I think it went away, is they were going to allow developers to build their own on-site sewage plants, which is millions and millions of dollars. I've gone through that rodeo before, and all those guys go bankrupt. But it's something you can figure out. So you can't say we can't build affordable housing or we can't build multifamily housing because we're out of sewer capacity. That's not an argument that passes muster. Up in Hartford, so to speak. Moving on.
Tracy gets the thrill of sitting up in Hartford and listening to the proposals for affordable housing. I won't get into how exciting that is, Tracy, but I can imagine.
In any kind of housing. I mean, I got a source study this morning that there's 90,000, we're short 90,000 dwelling units. Okay. We only have 2-story zoning here. There's other places to put it, but be that as it may. New businesses. We, again, are always approving new businesses in town. Last night, I'm kind of excited to say that we approved our first real Scandinavian chocolatier coming in town. They're going to be on the same block as Heights Pizza. Lo and behold, it's next to a flower store. We thought they would have liquor there. But if anybody wants to buy a present for their significant other, you can buy chocolates, flowers, and liquor store all at the same shot. We fast-tracked that approval as fast as we could because I wanted her open by Halloween. She said she couldn't do that. I said Thanksgiving. She said she couldn't do that. Then I begged for Christmas. She gave me really nice lady. She said that she would definitely open by Valentine's Day. But we're trying to get her open sooner than that. So you'll see a chocolatier in a vacant nail salon someday in the short future. We also fast-tracked the DCA is going to put in another dance studio down by where Complete Angler was. All the DCA, all my kids went to dance class for the DCA and wore those really cute outfits, and they danced in the auditorium, and it was packed house. They ran out of space because we have so many kids in town. So we fast-tracked their approval of it's about a 1,100 square foot dance studio where the old Complete Angler is. You think it might be simple and easy, but it's kind of not hard. The way our zoning code's written is that if there's 24 people assembling in a space, you need about 24 parking spaces. These guys are kids. The average age is less than 12. The parents drop them off. You don't need any parking.
You mean the Darien Arts Center, right?
That's Darien Arts, yes. So that's why. Oh, did I say DCA? I meant Darien Arts. I'm sorry. So that's why these things come in front of us. But that I think is kind of cool. The other one that recently opened is a Bear Burger restaurant. Opened up Darien Commons. They're up and running. I've yet to go inside there and get a burger, but I'm told that they do not serve French fries because they're supposed to be healthy hamburgers. But a lot of stores
have both hamburger and French fries, and they're really good.
So, John, you're going to be doing more ribbon cuttings, and hopefully Tracy gets invited to some of those too.
I will invite her to any I hear about.
There you go. That's fantastic. We did close the hearing, I think 2 weeks ago on a proposed car wash in town. That it's been planned for it's probably about a year. They've been working on it. They wanted to put a traffic light in. They were going to pay for a traffic light. The state said no. They went back and forth. So we closed the hearing on that. And we'll probably deliberate on the next couple of weeks. So that's something that's in the pipeline. Traffic is definitely an issue because that's that end of town where Bartucci's is. If you guys remember and know, there's a lot of new developments just across the border that are going to affect traffic, which is Target, Costco, and Wegmans. The last thing I need is people calling me up saying that traffic on the post road on a Saturday morning is, bumper to bumper. That doesn't make me happy. 7 Sedgwick is a 2-story or a 3-story proposed apartment building with 18 units. That site is under construction. That's the old Bank of America site that is at the entrance of Stop and Shop of Good Wives. So if you see that site there, that's going forward. 3 Parklands, we approved that a year ago. That's 57 units. There's still tenants in the building, and those guys are eventually vacating. The building did sell and sold to a new developer, so that has not really changed, but that's something that's coming in the future. The other item that was really fun for us and kind of cool is we basically approved the first 2 ADU accessory dwelling unit applications that came before the Planning and Zoning Commission 2 weeks ago. One was a gentleman that's, I think, kind of lives near Camp Avenue, is going to put an accessory dwelling unit on his property. He's probably, I think he was a 1/4 of an acre or a 1/3 of an acre. It might have been a half. And anything that's under an acre has to come to P&Z. The other one was a woman that is bringing her parents that live in like Astoria, Queens now. They're going to build an ADU unit on site for her. That was kind of exciting because that's exactly why we did it. It's for multi-generational housing. The woman that came to the hearing, she said she commutes every day to see her mother and father in Queens, and rather have her, with us. But, as most people are, they're very, most people like to be independent, but it's a great way to expand. So we're kind of excited on that. We as a commission will not see any ADU applications that are on sites that are over an acre of land. That all gets approved by on-site staff or as P&Z staff, and then the building department. So we'll only get to see some, but we do track that stuff. I think we've had a total of 5 or 6 or 7 people come forth. The last time I just want to touch on, I said it a minute ago, was I think the HHR committee with the schools is doing a great job. I've got a school right by my house. The parking lot's perfect. There's nothing in the parking lot. There's plenty of capacity there on the outside. Henley School did the same thing. That's on the way to Weed Beach or Pear Tree Beach. That looks great. The construction's on one side, the parking's on the other side, the buses are on the other side. There's no crossing. I don't really go inside the buildings because I don't have an easy pass to get in the buildings. But I think HHR did a great job on what they did, and I think they're open and ready for business, those schools. That's pretty much it for me. Any questions? Fire away. If not, we'll
Steve, on the Parklands process, I think I'd heard around town that the original developer had sold. I just kind of heard that anecdotally. The individual who owned the building was very supportive of Selleck's Woods Dunlap, and for years has actually allowed some parking for access into the parks and nature preserves. I don't know if it was officially or unofficially. Was there anything in the approval specific to that? Or I'm just, I heard a little rumbling that, the new owner is not necessarily going to be willing to let people park there to access the park, which means all we have is almost no parking down at the end of Little Brook. Do you know anything about that?
You're 100% correct. The original developer to put forth the application, honestly, and sort of here passed away.
Oh,
The property was sold to a new guy. The guy was Bob Gillen was his name.
yeah.
Great gentleman, been around town for a long time. He passed away. It was sold to another developer. The thing that is important to know is the plans that were approved are statutory. Anything that was approved for the original developer must transfers with the land. There's going to be a new pergola going into your park. A new grand entrance. They're moving the entrance from where it is now, I think about 10 yards to the left. Right now, I think there's 3 parking spaces there that says Selleck Woods, and that's going from either 3 to 5 or 3 to 10.
Okay,
So there's going to be a new entrance there and a walking path to get to the park. So it's going
great.
to
So
have
that's locked in. That can't be changed.
it cannot be changed.
Great,
If they
thank
want to
you.
change the color of the outside of the building, they have to come back to P and Z. If they want to move a
Okay.
sidewalk 5 feet, they got to come back to the P and Z. The only thing they can build is what approved plans. And a good example of that is Palmer's. Palmer's was approved by basically the Palmer family. They sold those plans to the Vaccaro family, and they're building exactly what was on those plans originally.
Okay,
Once the plans are set, you got to build what was approved, and that's
okay.
it.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing that.
You're welcome.
Okay, any questions for Steve? And lastly, Mr. Morton.
A pleasure. First, just the Rules Committee is working on things that will come forward eventually. We mentioned the town plan of development, but the other thing we've got continuing is updating Appendix B, which is the rules of procedure for the town for the RTM, and also it includes descriptions of what each one of the committees does. We found that they were outdated, and we've been working a lot on bringing them up to speed with current practice. And then procedure in the event the town budget is not approved by the RTM. We just briefly took a look at that, and when we got done looking at the state statutes and our own rules of procedure, there's no real procedure at all. And so it's sort of like opening the barn door, and then you say, okay, now what?
Well,
So
that's
we're not
important.
encouraging that. We're not encouraging that you don't approve the town budget, but by God, if you do, you better have a procedure to deal with it.
Well, but that's also just a reminder as to why open dialogue among the various boards that have budgets, process that includes everyone in the discussion and deliberation, so that nobody gets caught off guard, I think minimizes the chance that would ever happen.
Right. There is a tremendous amount of dialogue that goes on around the town budget between all the committees in the RTM, and so it would be a very unusual occurrence, but rather than saying, well, now what do you do? At least we discovered there was a hole in the procedure, so at least we'll get that taken care of. Coming up, we've got an RTM meeting on Monday, and one thing I was asked by the Rules Committee is to just extend our great thanks to Kate Bush. If you have a question about what's going on, or what has to be covered, or what event needs to be looked after, or how do you do this, or how do you do that, Kate Bush is a walking encyclopedia. And she's been extremely supportive to me well, we won't get into how long, but it goes back when I was chair of the Finance and Budget Committee. So personal thank you, and a thank you from the Rules Committee, and I feel fairly certain we will have a thank you from the RTM as well. The other thing, we'll look at what our vacancy status is for the November ballot for the RTM. We've got approving an appropriation bond authorization for 3.3 million for the repair of the Gorham's Pond Dam. We will have the town hall union contract to approve, and appointing a member of the RTM to the Blight Commission. And then we talked about the easements for the Royal Homes and Hindley, so that Eversource can get in there. And then $78,000 for the opioid legal settlement. And we're going to just get an update on the American Rescue Plan Act, where the funds are going, more of a providing information. So that's what's going on with the RTM.
Thank you, Seth. Any questions for Seth? Okay, we have one other item, which is we need to approve the minutes from our last meeting, which was July 15th. I read through my section and it looked okay. Does anyone have any questions or updates on the edits to the minutes? Okay, can I get a motion to approve those minutes?
So moved.
Seth moves.
I was going to abstain because I wasn't at the meeting,
Hmm.
but we don't, looks like we don't have a
Actually-
quorum.
Yeah, but for minutes, I don't think we have a quorum since Palin's not here. Jill dropped off. You weren't there. Lori was not a member at the.
I wasn't a member then.
Tell you what, we're going to vote on these minutes at the next meeting. So, okay. I think that's it for us today. Anything else for the good of the order?
Good here.
Motion to adjourn? That we can do.
Make the
So
motion.
moved.
Steve moved,
Second.
that's second. All in favor? Good deal. All right. Talk to you next month. Thank you, everybody.
Everybody.
Thanks, everybody.